Okay, so I'm making this second video evaluating Logarithms 2 so that on Khan Academy, when you're working the activity evaluating Logarithms 2, you can get 5 in a row. Okay, now these are a little harder, and in order for you to do these, you have to watch the video that I put in my website previous to this one about exponents. So I'm going to assume you have watched that video and you know all the properties that I taught in that video. So I put this image up here just to let you know that I'm teaching these videos as I lay in my closet with my dog. All right, so let's work this problem. So this says the log base 144 of 12 equals what? Now remember, they're asking us 144 raised to what power will give us 12. Okay, now here's the first thing let's do is let's think of what is 144. Okay, let's break it down. Well, 144 is 12 squared, right? I mean, remember, 12 times 12 equals 144. And so what we're saying is we're saying 12 squared, okay, equals 12 to what power? Well, clearly, we need to take the square root of 144. That's what we're saying, right? So we're saying 144 raised to some power will give us the square root of this, right? In other words, the square root of 144 will give us 12. So we need to be able to raise 144 to some power that causes it to be the square root. Now, we talked in the last video that square root of 144 is the same thing as 144 all to the 1/2 power. Okay, those are the same thing. So if you went in your calculator and you typed in the square root of 144, or if you went in your calculator, of course you put it in parentheses, 144, and you raised it to the 1/2 power, both of those are going to give you the answer 12. Okay, so what we're saying here is 144, the square root of it, will give us 12. So we're asking ourselves, 144 to what power will equal 12? Well, you should be thinking, well, to the 1/2 power, right? If I take 144 and I raise it to the 1/2 power, it will provide me with 12. And so the answer in this case is 1/2. And so what I did is I went to that calculator I showed you in the previous video and I typed in log base 144 of 12, just like we have here, and it told me the answer was 0.5. Well, 0.5 is the same thing as 1/2, so we got it right. In Khan Academy, you should be able to put in the blank 0.5 or 1 divided by 2 and get the same, and both of them be right. So let's look at this one. This one right here says log base 625 of 5 equals what? Well, let's break down 625. What is 625? It's 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 is 125, times 5 equals 625. So 625 is the same thing as 5 to the 4th power. So what we need to do here is we need to take the 4th root of 625. Right? So the 4th root of 625 would provide us with 5. Okay, well, let's go backwards with that then. We're saying 625 raised to what power will give me 5? Well, what power can I raise something to that means the same thing as the 4th root? Okay, well, all right. The 4th root of 625 is the same thing as 625 raised to the 1/4 power. Okay, this is the exact same thing as this, and I challenge you to pause the video and go in your calculator and type parentheses 625 and then raise it to the 1/4 power. Of course, you need to put the 1/4 in your calculator in parentheses as well. And in the calculator, you would type 625 in parentheses, then you'd press the little hat to raise it to a power, and then I'd put 1 divided by 4. And when you do that, it's going to give you 5. And so we're saying 625 raised to the 1/4 power gives me 5. And so the answer in this problem is 1/4. And so what we're saying is 625 to the 1/4 power gives me 5. And so that's the right answer. So on this problem, I've got log base 225 of 15 equals what? And we're saying 225 raised to what power gives me 15? Well, I need to break 225 down. I'm guessing that 15 squared is going to be 225. So just type in your calculator 15 squared and see what it equals. So I'm going to do that real quick. And yes, it does equal 225. So basically what we need to do is we need to square root 225. Well, what power can I raise 225 to that will give me 15? Or what power can I raise 225 to that's the same thing as square rooting it? Well, that's raise it to the 1/2 power. Okay? So the answer here is 1/2. So what I'm going to put in Khan Academy is either 1/2 or I could put 0.5. And what we're saying is 225 raised to the 1/2 power gives me 15. All right, so on this problem, let me read it to you. Log of base 256 of 16 equals what? All right, so we're saying 256 raised to what power will give me 16. So basically what we're hoping is 16 squared is going to be equal to 256. So let's go on our calculator and let's type 16 squared and let's make sure it equals 256. So pause the video and do that. So yes, it does. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm saying I need to raise 256 to some power that will cause it to square root. Okay? Well, what power can I raise 256 to so that it'll square root it? Well, to the 1/2 power. Raising something to the 1/2 power is the same thing as square rooting it. And so what we're saying here is the answer is going to be 1/2, and here's why. 256 raised to the 1/2 power, which is the same as square rooting it, equals 16. And so that's why the answer is 1/2, or in Khan Academy you could put 0.5. Okay, this is the thinker right here. The log base 7 of 1 equals what? So what we're saying is 7 raised to what power will give me 1? And this is kind of a difficult problem if you don't have a certain exponent property memorized. So pause the video and just kind of think about it. 7 raised to what power will give me 1? Okay, now let's think. Did you know that anything, okay, if I took Stickman here and I raised him to the 0 power, that equals 1? X raised to the 0 power equals 1. Did you also know that 7 raised to the 0 power equals 1? Well, there's your answer. It says 7 raised to what power will give me 1? Well, 0. Anything to the 0 power equals 1. So the answer in this case is 0. So here's our last one and our most difficult. Okay, this is saying the log base 2 of 1/8 equals what? Okay, so we're saying 2 raised to what power will give me 1/8? Well, here's what we need to do. We need to think of what is 1/8. 1/8 is the same thing as 1 divided by 2 times 2 times 2, right? Because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. All right, well, then that means that 1 divided by 2 to the 3rd power is the same thing. Now, I told you before, I said in the video, I told you video 2, that if you want to take something that's in the bottom, a base and an exponent that's in the bottom, and move it to the top, all you have to do is change the exponent. So 1 over 8 is the same thing as 1 over 2/3, and that's also the same thing as 1 times 2 to the -3 power. Okay, so look at what I did. I took all this and moved it to the top, and when I did that, all I had to do was make the exponent negative. And so this is the same thing as just 2 to the -3, right? because 1 times anything is the anything. Okay, so look at what we've got here. 2 to the negative 3 is the same thing as 1/8. So really the problem we're doing is we're asking log base 2 of 2 to the negative 3 power equals what? Well, 2 to what power will give me 2 to the negative 3? Well, it's obvious. Negative 3 will. 2 raised to the negative 3 will equal this, won't it? And so the answer in this case is negative 3. Now that you watched the video, I would encourage you to go back and see if you can get 5 in a row on Khan Academy's 5 in a row activity, evaluating logarithms 2.